Well, hello everybody. Thanks for watching another episode of, I don't have a name for exactly what this is, but my YouTube channel. We are talking all things private practice, being a therapist, and I am excited that you're here. If you don't already subscribe to this YouTube channel, please subscribe, like, and a special shout out to our sponsor, Therapy Notes. If you are looking for an electronic health record, if you're looking to get out of paper and pencil or just transition to a more functional electronic health record, be sure to check out Therapy Notes. You can use the promo code Amanda and get 2 months free to see if you love them like most people do. Well, I'm excited today to have Lisa Seid. She is from Mindful Life Solutions, and she recently joined a group practice, the Revolutionary Group Practice. She practices out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and I am very excited to have her on today.
Thank you. I am so excited to be here, Amanda. I've been watching your videos and just following all of the amazing things you do in the Private Practice Tribe, so that group on Facebook. So I'm so happy to have the opportunity to be here today.
So yes, if you're not already a member of my Private Practice Tribe, please join us on Facebook. And if you'd like to interview for this YouTube channel, please send me an email. You can send it to Amanda at amandapattersonlmhc.com. A tip for people that are, if you're just starting your private practice, don't make your URL for your website long. If I could go back and change one thing, it would not be Amanda Patterson LMHC, and it would not be Caring Therapist of Broward, because it's so long on email. Like, it would be like AP LMHC and like, I don't know, we call it CTOB sometimes. It's the group practice, CTOB. It would be like CTOB. I might change that at some point. I don't know the logistics of how crazy that would be to change.
Yeah.
How much work, but don't make your URL long, because then you have to give a long URL and long email address.
You have to let me know when you figure that out, because I made mine long as well. And I'm like, how do I condense this now?
I think you can do an easy redirect, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you can, if I were to buy the URL CTOB, nobody buy it. If I were to buy it, I think I could redirect easily to my website. I'm just not sure about the email is also. I'm like, Amanda at Caring.
It's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing. So make your short. People don't care what your URL is. So that's not what we're going to be talking about today. We're actually going to be talking about a mindful lifestyle in private practice. So why don't you kind of tell us about your journey of being in private practice and how you incorporate mindfulness into your practice?
Yes, absolutely. So this really was a passion project of mine. I had been working in agencies for a while, and I left one agency for another agency, as many of us do, in hopes, like, being overstressed, overworked, wanting something better. And I was very intentional when I wanted to start my private practice that I really wanted it to be a lifestyle. I did not want to feel the same way. And one thing, I just wanted to kind of talk about this because it's something that I've noticed along, I started my practice along with some other colleagues of mine, and just kind of the difference in our stress levels and that sort of thing, that it really resonated for me. I was like, what am I doing differently? Because for me, it seemed very natural to try to be mindful of how I was doing things, but I noticed other people weren't. So I was like, okay, this is different. I thought, because I think a lot of us go into private practice because of exactly that. Like, we don't want to be overworked. We want to feel passionate. I think we all want to help people, right? Like, that's why we became therapists. But we often find, like, in the real world, when you're working, that the work that you're doing, maybe the population that you're working with, isn't really aligned with what you're really passionate about, or the way in which you're doing the work isn't really aligned with you. So just to kind of give you a little bit of my background, some of the key moments for me, because it was like a long journey, a few years. But some of the key moments were the last 2 jobs that I left. It was about 4 years between the two. And the first job I had left, I cashed out I was able to get at least 2 weeks of pay, of vacation pay, plus a few days that I had lost because you can only get a maximum of 2 weeks. So that means in the time that I was there, basically, I didn't go on vacation. I didn't take any time off except for maybe sick time. And then so I went into another position, wanting to change, ending up when I left there, same situation happening. So I was really notorious for just being a workaholic and not having time, friends, family. They would always have a reason why I didn't. It's like, well, if I take this day off, then there's going to be more work and I just can't have that. I don't want that. So that was part of the key moment in realizing that all the time that I had accumulated that I wasn't taking for myself. And I kept saying, oh, I'll take the time. I'll take the time. Obviously I didn't, or I wouldn't have all that time left over. The other piece was the last position I was in. I was in a supervisory role, and I really wanted to take that position because I am very passionate about mentorship, teaching. I'm also very much into self-improvement therapists for other people and seeing how our stuff, influences us. And I, bright-eyed and so excited, and then that kind of ended up turning into a lot of administrative tasks, budgeting, all those kinds of things. So even when I was in supervision, I wasn't doing the type of supervision that I really wanted. The clinical work was just such a small aspect of it. So those are, kind of a very short for something that was very long process to describe like why I really wanted to be very intentional when I started my practice.
Your story is so.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
There was a glitch on my end, so I thought you paused. So, your story is so similar to so many people out there, right? We graduate from graduate school, we go to an agency, we're overworked at the agencies, then we're like, oh, we get licensed and we don't even want less work, we just want more money at that point, right? Like, so people make a supervisory role, right? Because they tend to pay more, right? You get paid more money when you take on a supervisory role. And then you realize like it's no less work. It's actually much more work. You're being pulled. What I learned as a supervisor that I think a lot of people can appreciate when they get into that role is you're pulled from both directions, right? The therapists under you are always overworked, so they're looking for help, but the people above you are always looking for you to fix a problem, fill a hole, solve something. And so I always felt like this, like I was being pulled or like this, right? And so then the money becomes not worth it. You're like, no, this isn't, I can't take any vacation time, or if I do, I'm just getting more backed up. I think so many therapists start looking at private practice for that very reason.
Yes, I completely agree. And so, like I said, myself and a few other people kind of started at the same time. But what I noticed was within a few months, some folks were still like feeling that same way, how they felt when they were back in agency work, where they were like, my schedule is just packed with so many things, or I think networking is a big thing that we feel a lot of like urgency that we have to do, because obviously we want to get our name out there. We want to try to get referrals. That's just part of the deal in private practice. You have to have clients coming in. And, I know there was a few folks that I had spoken to that felt like the things that they were attending weren't really still aligned with them or the clients they were taking. And so I realized that we can often just put ourselves back in that same situation out of the desperation of really wanting this to work. But it's a lot of mental work and shift to understand that it will come. We really just have to be very intentional about the event. And that's why I created this kind of worksheet that you have as a free giveaway that we're going to do today.
Yay, thank you for that. I'm excited to share it with everybody.
Yeah, I'm really excited. And I really just kind of built it off of things that I noticed that I do differently from, again, talking with like colleagues and friends of mine. And I'll talk to them and tell them like, hey, what are you doing? And they're like, yeah, but I just have to. I'm like, no, you don't. You don't have to say yes to everything. And we are so good as therapists helping our clients set boundaries and be intentional. But when it comes to ourselves, it's like, it's so hard.
For sure. I think so many therapists struggle with that. I know even myself, I struggle with that because you're right. Like
Yeah.
there's this really big balance between being a business owner in private practice, seeing
Mm-hmm.
clients and getting referrals. And sometimes you have to go to networking events. And I know there are a lot of therapists out there that I would love to meet, go to lunch with, have breakfast with, go meet at
Yeah.
networking events. But sometimes like that's the thing that has to take the back seat
Mm-hmm.
because we will pull ourselves way too thin if we try to like run a successful private practice, see clients, and go to network events and do and self-care and all of those other things that come along with being a therapist. So I think you bring up such a
Yeah.
big point. How can people get over, let's call it that, maybe guilt or inability to set boundaries? Teach us your ways.
Yeah. Well, the main thing is really bringing it back to the why. For me, I do practice a lot of mindfulness and mindful lifestyle, really. So whether it's work or something that I'm doing personally, I really am looking at like, what is my why for this? Why am I doing this? And going back to that. So, for example, people go into private practice because they want to spend more time with their families, but maybe they're not seeing their families as much. For me, I wanted low stress. That was why I wanted to go into private practice because I was just too stressed out. So some of the things that I do in just my own way that I practice my why and kind of really try to live by it on a daily basis is like I don't schedule clients before 10 a.m. And there will be people that will call me and want to sometimes, but maybe rarely. I might, but for the majority, no, I won't. Same thing with like on weekends. I would love that extra money. So let's say there's a client that calls me and but they can only meet on the weekends. If that's a regular thing, I would probably refer them to somebody else. Even though that might be scary for me because I'm like, oh, new client. I just know that at the end of the day, that's not going to really work out for me because I'm going to end up feeling stressed and feeling like I'm not having time to take care of myself. So little things like that, balance is a huge thing also. If I know, I will try not to book, at least for me personally, like more than 4 clients back to back without taking a break. So I'll might seem like 4 clients and I might want like an hour or maybe even 2 for a break before I kind of go back into seeing more people. Some people can see 8, 9, 10 people back to back. I don't know. That's what they say they're okay with. We all have our, different limits, but I think that's something to always be very mindful of. Like, where's my energy? Where's my focus? I want to be best ability. I want to be most present for my client. So for me, I know like after 4 hours, okay, I'm going to need a break. So those are just like a few things that I try to be very intentional of when I'm scheduling a new client or thinking about a networking event. I don't just look at my schedule for that day, but I also look at it for the week. And how is it that I want to feel throughout the week? I don't want to feel overwhelmed. If I have, maybe 2 events this day, then I'm not going to put anything for the next week. Maybe I'll try to see if I can do something the following week or even in 2 weeks. So it's really that awareness overall on the small level and then also on that macro level.
So I want to say something for those of you that are like, let's call it early in private practice. I think a lot of people get very scared, like, well, I'm new. I need to take everybody whenever. And that's a very common thing that happens. And most people do that. And what I have found is it's sort of a natural progression out of that, where you maybe start, okay, I'm going to see people like whenever I can see them and whenever they can see me, like if your schedule is open, and then usually people tighten up their schedule. I always say, like, I used to work Saturday mornings. I remember going in on Saturday mornings and seeing clients. Like, absolutely, you will not catch me on a Saturday morning for anything. I will stay an hour late to not see a client on a morning.
Yeah.
Like, that's just on a Saturday morning. That's just, people, you shift out of that. And then I used to work 5 days a week, right? And then I went down to 4 days a week. I'm the kind of person, I'll see 8, 9 people a day, but and I actually personally, there's this weird thing for me. If I'm at the office, I don't necessarily need a break. It's like I'm in go mode. And then, I'm like 8 sessions, go. And then I detach. And then like at night, that's really good for me. Like I do not do work at night. Like I do not come home and do work at night. Like I leave my Fridays open. Like today I'm writing notes, kind of cleaning the house, doing these videos and like, you know, kind of having that practice. And so I think that it's really important to know what is good for you and to really own that. Because I see I put people in categories. Sometimes it gets me in trouble, but there are people who are like, I will see 8 people in a day. And people are like, how could you do that? It's not good care. But then I see the flip side, people who are like, I see 4 people in a day. And then I take a 2-hour break and then I see 2 more people. Like, I think that works for some people and it doesn't work for other people. And
Absolutely.
so, yeah, I love that point where you bring up, like, you have to know what works for you in a way that you're not burnt out, because I think therapists get so burnt out so easily. It creeps up so fast.
Definitely. Yeah, it's really about self-awareness, because exactly how you said, like for you, you can see 8 people back to back. No, that will not work for me, you know, but, and then I'll know some people that will do like a full day back to back so that they can work less days, you know? So again, it's just kind of finding whatever works for you. But the important thing is that you are always very intentional of how you're scheduling. And it really comes from that place of, how is this making me feel? How am I doing with this? You know, I'm not just mindlessly booking or rescheduling anything. It's really intentional. And actually you mentioned something else, kind of a little bit about self-care, just in general, knowing like also, and this is kind of in the little worksheet that I gave you, like what things zap your energy, what depletes your energy, and what restores it. I think that's really important too, because it helps us create a schedule, you know, that is really about a lifestyle that we're not feeling burnt out. Because exactly how you said, it'll go, we're fine, and all of a sudden, like, boom, now I'm just burnt out. So if we're continuously keeping track of those things and making sure that we're refilling our cup, then we don't have to go empty, but we have to be thinking about it constantly. You know, or if we notice, or if we notice the day before, like, wow, I didn't like how I felt at the end of that day, then I need to be focused for the following day. How can I incorporate more things to restore myself? Even if I already have a full day, what can I do? I need to put that on the forefront. Even if I have 5 minutes in between, I need to make sure that I'm keeping on top of that.
Well, thank you for all of your great tips today. How can people get in contact with you if they want to learn more about your practice or just about you?
Yeah, so you can get in contact with me at mindfullifesolutionsllc.com. That's my website, a little long, like we were talking about. Or Lisa at mindfullifesolutionsllc.com. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook. All of my handles are all Mindful Life Solutions. So if you just take that up, it should come right up. So there it is.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much for doing this video today. I'm going to be doing some yoga this afternoon. So
yes.
I love my yoga sessions. And so thank you so much. And for those of you watching, please be sure to join our conversation at my private practice tribe and subscribe and like this video for love for us.
Yes, definitely. Okay. Thank you, Amanda.